So we have Alatengheili versus Victor Hugo. Alatengheili, he is night 16-9-2. He's coming off a loss against Chris Gutierrez where he got 30-27. Victor Hugo, 24-4. He's coming off a knee bar submission win on the Dana White Contender Series, and he'll be making his UFC debut here. Let's look at the odds for this fight. We have Victor Hugo at -125. He actually opened up at a +130. So he opened up as a dog. Now he's a favorite. I don't really agree with that movement. It's kind of interesting and strange to me. So I also see some love for Victor Hugo on MMA social medias, a lot of respective names that have been on Hugo. I'm just gonna side with Alatengheili here. I think that he's gonna be the veteran in this case, right? I mean, he has a lot of UFC experience fighting off against a guy who's making his UFC debut. I think Hugo is dangerous, on the feet and the ground. He's just a little too wild for me to trust as a consistent force in the UFC. I think that this is also a step down for Alatengheili after fighting Chris Gutierrez, who is on the kind of brink of the rankings, right? He might be a top 15 kind of fighter, but yeah, I think that this striking and the grappling combo of Alatengheili, it's going to be enough to defeat a wild fighter like a Hugo. I think that the fight will likely play out with Hugo pressuring forward right out of the gate because he likes to swing with wild power and he likes to go for the takedowns off these wild exchanges. I believe that Hugo will actually underrate Alatengheili's ability to fight off his back foot because Alatengheili, he actually gets in trouble the most when he has to attempt to close the distance. We saw that in the last fight, right? Chris Gutierrez was just dancing on the outside, throwing leg kicks, doing a lot of outside range shots, and Alatengheili just was not able to close the distance because he's not the fastest guy. He's more of a plotter. But I just don't think that will be a problem in this fight against Victor Hugo. I mean, Victor Hugo is going to be right in his face. So I see Hugo just advancing forward. And I see Alatengheili being able to counter Hugo on the feet or even surprising Hugo with some offensive takedowns as well. And I believe that Alatengheili, he's only been sub once, I think, in his career. So, he stays pretty safe. He has been knocked out 3 times, but in the UFC, he's never been finished. So, I mean, he's gone to decision twice in the UFC, hasn't been finished yet in the UFC. So he is pretty durable. I think he has a good fight IQ as well. And yeah, I'm taking the dog action at Alatengheili. I think right now, +105 is not a bad play at those odds against a UFC debut. So yeah, give me Alatengheili in this fight.